The Deep End is an episode that I kind of like and kind of dislike at the same time. It's not bad, it just doesn't do very much. The main plot follows Mabel befriending a merman trapped in a public pool. However, there are also subplots involving Dipper and Wendy working as lifeguards at the pool, Stan and Gideon fighting over a lawn chair at the pool, and Zeus attempting to free the duck inner tubes from the pool. Don't ask. I like that this is a rare case of the whole of the main cast being given something to do during the episode, as well as the common theme these plots have of taking place at the pool. The problem for me is that none of these plots are particularly interesting as stories. They work okay as some character development, and there is a lot of good comedy, but that's really all this episode has to offer. I think it's also pretty clear that this episode originally only had Mabel's plot, and then the subplots were added to pad it out. Let's talk about the subplots first, since there isn't much to say about them. Zeus's is basically just another window into the childlike nature of his character as he attempts to free the duck inner tubes from the pool. He is led to believe that the ducks have been enslaved, but doesn't feel any anger towards anyone for keeping them at the pool, or the fact that he was tricked. But nothing really comes of this. It's really just a bit of extra comedy that fits Zeus's character quite well. Stan's focuses on his desire to sit on the perfect lawn chair, which Gideon is currently sitting on. He does the classic thing in kid shows of trying a few dirty schemes to get him to move before eventually sneaking in the middle of the night to sit on it and then waiting 15 hours till the pool opens. 15 hours? Does the pool not open till mid-afternoon or something? Well, anyway, Gideon ends up having the last laugh as he has covered the chair in glue. I actually kind of like this as a resolution because, while we may root for Stan here, the honest truth is that he is being as big a jerk as Gideon here, and actually, Gideon is probably more in the right since he did sit on the lawn chair first. It's nice to see that the writers are aware that even though we do like Stan's character, his actions do deserve some kind of comeuppance from time to time. Dipper and Wendy's subplot is probably the most dispensable. Dipper hangs out with Wendy at the pool and continues to feel socially awkward around her. We don't really see anything new between the two of them, and nothing really happens to change their relationship in any way. The only things in this subplot that make it worthwhile are the freaking hilarious character of Mr. Poolcheck, who is like the most over-the-top drill sergeant you've ever seen, and the way it ties into the main plot with Mabel, but I'll get more into that later. So about the main plot here. Mabel's befriending of the merman has quite a nice gradual progression to it. When she first meets him, he seems surprised by her interest in him, but he still isn't willing to reveal his secret when she suggests they go get something to eat. But Mabel is nothing if not resilient, and she brings him something to eat in the pool. Hey, don't they say not to swim after eating? I guess it's okay if you're already swimming. Anyway, this convinces him to tell her what he really is. I like how instantly Mabel is willing to accept this. It seems very typical of her character, as well as fairly understandable given what she's seen by this point. She arranges to meet with him during the night, and despite Mabel's rather insensitive reminders that he lacks lower limbs, the merman still continues to appreciate her kindness and is willing to share more personal things with her about his family. I think my favourite scene of this episode is the second night, because it ties all of the subplots together. Dipper is keeping watch over the pool, Mabel comes to break out the merman, and Stan and Zeus sneak in to get early spots by the pool. Dipper chases Mabel to the lake where he gives the merman reverse CPR, which involves breathing water into the person's mouth instead of air, but no pressing down on the chest apparently. Would it even work without that? In fact, didn't they say about 10 years ago that the breathing into the mouth doesn't work? Oh, whatever, I'm clearly overthinking this. I also love this bit of lampshading they do by pointing out that Dipper could have just rolled him into the lake. Once again, this show is showing it's very self-aware. Then comes the part where Dipper's subplots ties into Mabel's. See, Dipper knows that if he loses any of the pool supplies, he will lose his job and therefore the chance of hanging out with Wendy. So when Mabel takes the pool's megaphone for the merman to use, he has to make a decision. What is more important to him? His chances with Wendy, or his sister's happiness? And what I like is that Dipper only takes a few seconds to think about this before giving her the megaphone. It's basically the same point we saw in The Time Traveler's Pig, but I still adore seeing the real love these two have for one another. And since they are brother and sister, I can be certain Disney aren't going to pull another Kim and Ron on us and have them hook up. Though to be honest, Dipper was probably going to lose his job at the pool anyway, given the state of the fence around it. So that's basically it. Mabel frees the merman, Dipper and Wendy go to hang out somewhere else, and I guess they decided to stop coming to the pool since we don't see it again. It has to be said that there isn't a particularly interesting story here, and what happens in this episode isn't relevant to anything else that happens later in the season. But I think this episode is still useful viewing in order to better understand the characters. It was nice to just see Dipper and Wendy hanging out as good friends without much tension for once, and the comedy in this episode is still up there as some of the show's best. There is no real clever writing or great morals here. It's just a harmless, fun episode.